If you're a leader, there are many things that you need to do. There are classes you can take, books you can read, speeches you can go hear to tell you all the things that you need to do as a leader. And they're all worth going to and reading and listening to and doing. But there are three things that are essential to being a courageous leader and inspiring a courageous culture. And I want to share those with you. Number one, show up where you're most needed and least expected. This is what J.R.R. Tolkien had Gandalf the Wizard do in his classic book, The Lord of the Rings. He would show up where he was most needed and least expected. That means, for example, if you're a hospital CEO, maybe you show up in the emergency department at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock at night on a busy Saturday, and you bring pizza. You show up at 6 in the morning when they're doing food services, getting ready for the day. You show up where they're least likely to expect you, but where they really most need you. Beyond that, show up in ways that are least expected and most needed. And I'll give you a great example. Some time ago, Cray supercomputer, back before you could carry a supercomputer in your pocket with a phone, their engineers were struggling with a really bad problem. And the company's founder, Seymour Cray, came in. He said, "What's going on here?" And they said, "Oh, we can't figure this out." He said, "All right, here's what we're going to do. You go home, get your shorts on, fill up coolers with beer, and we're going to go tubing." And they did. They went out and they went tubing down the river for the rest of the day. The next day they came in and they solved the problem. Now, the ordinary thing to do would be come in and say, "Okay, we're going to work a little harder here. Let me help out. Put pizza." But to go tubing, what an extraordinary thing to do. Think of how you can show up and show up in ways that are most needed but least expected. Here's the second thing courageous leaders do. They recognize and they celebrate not only successes, they recognize and celebrate good faith failures. Some years ago, I was doing research on this for a book, and I heard about something that the company Medtronic does. I don't know if they still do it, but they did it back then. They have a venture capital arm of the company. They invest in high-risk startup businesses, knowing that some of them, probably most of them, are going to fail, but some of them are going to be grand slam home runs. And they have an award called the Queasy Eagle, and it is literally a trophy of a sick eagle, and they give it to the most spectacular crash and burn investment of the year. The person who told me about this said, "Yeah, and I know somebody who got one." I said, "Well, tell me who it is." And I called that person up, and we had a conversation about it. He said, "Yep, it's sitting on my bookshelf. I'm very proud of that award." He also said, "I hope I never get another one." But that is a great way of saying to people, we know that not everything's going to work out. We need you to be willing to take a chance, to take a risk, to take a leap, and we're going to be there for you when you do. And not only that, we're going to learn from the experience, because we're not just going to give you a trophy or a plaque. We're going to do an after-action report and figure out what didn't go the way we wanted it to, what could have gone better next time. And here's the third thing that courageous leaders do. All leaders should do this, but coming back to CPR, V and H, vision and hope. Keep the vision front and center. The first Star Wars movie, they're attacking the Death Star, and you hear the one pilot saying, "Stay on target, stay on target." And in times of uncertainty and in an age of anxiety, keeping that target, that vision, front and center, and the expectation, the hope, the belief that you're going to achieve it is so important. I live in Iowa, and like most states, we have vanity license plates. And I went down and I applied for one. They told me that I couldn't have it because it was too many letters. TBSSSNDQEM. But it's great leadership advice. TBSSSNDQEM. Think big, start small, start now, don't quit, expect miracles. You instill that philosophy in your team, and you will have a more courageous, more persevering, and more resilient organization. And you'll be more successful in the long term.